This topic is how to properly develop a national resource and utilize some of the money that comes from that resource to sustainably support the economy of the nation in the long term. In any effort, there are risks to be considered, responsibilities to be approached properly so that best rewards are reaped. So a nation, its people and their government needs to consider producing the best results without wasting time, effort, and resource. If we consider planning for risk and take petroleum resource as an example, there's a lot of money needed to fund the field. And if one takes a loan, it comes with high interest rates. That interest rate becomes the largest amount of money wasted from the resource. At 15% interest rate on a $100 billion loan means the country has to pay $15 billion in interest, which is 3 times as big as the whole economy of Somalia. The second big problem is spills and environmental contaminations. The British Petroleum well in the US called Deep Horizon has contaminated a large area, and eventually that company had to pay up to $60 billion just to fix that problem. Drilling into a place where there's no oil without knowing, you will spend $100 million on such dry wells. Not producing most of your resource. Normally, only 20 to 40% can be produced from a reserve. One needs to figure out a way to enhance that recovery by using technology in a secondary and tertiary methods that can get you at least more than half of your oil, develop your people's skills in the country so that in 20 to 30 years, they become the primary people producing that oil, as Saudi Arabia has done with its own company called Aramco, which has become the biggest oil producing company in the world. The sixth thing is to set aside billions of dollars for field abandonment. The country of Malaysia has thousands of leaking wells that are affecting the environment, people, fish, and livestock. Considering that the initial production from the well can keep going. In fact, as the well produces, the pressure goes down, and if it was producing 100 barrels today, tomorrow it might be 90. So there needs to have understanding of not just spending money as they come, hoping it will keep coming in the same rate. And one important way to actually solve that is to set some of the money in a sovereign fund and reinvest that money so that it can become something that can support the nation and its people for a long time. The first 6 problems has a simple one solution, whereas the last 2 have another solution. The first solution is related to the saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. What that means is if you select a capable and accountable partner oil company, you can avoid those 6 problems. How to identify such company is, it should have more than 50 years of experience. It should have worldwide operations so that they can, in short time and distance, respond to any emergency such as that oil spill. They should have a great cash flow and profitability. And this is important because such company will have a high credit rating and they can get loans from banks at very low interest rate, thus minimizing the amount of money wasted in paying interest rate. A company also needs to be an integrated giant company which operations in all areas of the oil field from drilling to abandonment. It has to have skilled people who can train your own people, and the company needs to be reputable and reliable partner. And lastly, there should be a way to keep it accountable by suing them. There are 4 types of partner oil companies to consider. The first and worst one is a small private company, especially if it is only a few years old. It's almost as asking a 4-year-old to operate your heart in a surgery or fly an airplane. Not too smart. The second type of oil company is one that is from a non-democratic nation. The problem with this is if things go wrong, there's no independent courts in their country, and there's no way to hold them accountable. The third type is government-owned oil and gas company. The problems related with that is first, the government owns the courts, so therefore there's no way to keep them accountable. More importantly, government-owned companies put politics over profit, and it's very hard to get them to transfer skills to you because they do not want you to become independent and free from them. The last mostly preferred is the integrated oil and gas companies from democratic nations. In addition to meeting all the requirement and becoming worldwide preferred partner, they are very concerned about their own reputations because they want to partner with everybody. And if they do something wrong, you can easily go to the independent courts in their country and get things right. The second solution to the last 2 problems is associated to what makes families and nations wealth in this world, to save for tomorrow. And the solution, therefore, is to set a sovereign wealth fund and put some of the money from the oil and gas into those funds. To show the importance of this, consider these 2 countries, Saudi Arabia, which has been producing oil for 84 years since 1938, and Norway, that has been producing oil only for 51 years since 1971. Saudi Arabia has been producing on average 8.3 million barrels of oil a day, whereas Norway were producing far less, only 1.5 million. The total income from the oil Saudi Arabia produced in the last 84 years reaches $15 trillion, whereas Norway, it is only 1.7. So Saudi Arabia has gotten 10 times as much money from oil as Norway has done. But if you look at Saudi Arabia's total wealth today, what the whole country and its people have is only 1 trillion. Whereas Norway, if you look only for the sovereign funds they have set in and kept putting a small amount of money for 51 years, that sovereign fund has 1.3 trillion, which means that fund alone is richer than the whole Saudi Arabian country. So what does this sovereign fund in Norway serve? Part of its yearly profit, not the principal, is used to support the country's need, including government programs and free education from elementary through college. In addition to the smart way Norway approached their resource, which was to save a small amount of the money every day in a sovereign fund and reinvest to make it more, they also had a law that differentiates them from Saudi Arabia, which is they made sure that the fund is out of the reach of politicians. Politicians have no say in how the fund is run and how much money comes out of it. The law fixes the percentage of profit that the government gets. Now consider another country, a neighbor of Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, which actually produced its best oil 7 years before Saudi Arabia. All their wells have dried today, and they produce less than 100,000, whereas Saudi Arabia is producing 12 million barrels a day. So where does the economy of Bahrain depend on? It's mostly from tourism. Saudi workers drive the weekends over a bridge that connects between the two countries so that they can drink and do all kinds of sin in Bahrain. So this shows you how a simple saving by the day that are chosen by smart people, families, and countries can set the future of the children, the country, and the nation in a better path. I hope we do, as Somalis, the right thing with our resource and future. Thank you.